What's up, guys? It was pretty tough to figure out what to do for this backyard, but between the new age kitchen and this Pergolux pergola we're about to set up, it started to look a lot like what I imagine your Instagram feed might look like. We got advertised to death and ended up going with the Pergolux Skydance S3 model, 13 by 19 foot. And I'll tell you, there isn't a single user-generated piece of content online about this thing. So I'm hoping today we can set this thing up, show you how to do it, and answer all your questions about it. We just moved all these boxes out here. It probably weighs 1,000 pounds worth of stuff that we just moved, maybe more. So let's go ahead and get the process started, and I'm gonna show you how it's done. So you guys can see it on your screen right now, but what I'm looking at is the Pergolux app on your phone. And I'll tell you the first red flag over here, they tell you that they have their app with the setup instructions and it's gonna show you how to do everything. Well, when you open the app and you go to the setup, it's literally just the manual in digital form. So at least we have that. We have a manual to go by. We're gonna figure out what the first step is. A couple things we had to buy from the store, like some concrete anchor bolts and some silicone sealant, but that's okay. I got a couple ladders, I've got a couple assistants and a bunch of tools. Tool list required up on your screen right now. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start unboxing all these boxes and figure out what's what. We've got posts, we've got louvers, we've got hardware, heater, electronics, all that stuff. So let's break into these boxes. You'll be watching a B-roll of that right now, and we'll figure out where to go from there. Check it out. In one of the, this must be a base post, we found the hardware box. So here we go. 4 by 6 meters, so that's the 13 by 19 component. So this is gonna be our screws, our screw lube, because you gotta lube up to get it in there smooth, and everything else we're gonna need for this setup, a bunch of brackets and things like that, I imagine. So we'll put this to the side for now, but we found it, it was packed away in there. So let's see what we got in here. We got some wrenches, screw lube. They want you to put this on the screws before you put them in because it's metal on metal. Don't know what these are yet. They included some rags and some pairs of gloves, which I think is actually pretty thoughtful. I appreciate that. This is definitely for the louvers. That'll be for later. We're gonna start needing screws right off the bat. So here's some screws. Oh man, what is all this stuff? We've got a bunch of bags of hardware, but they're all labeled. So I know these are for the louvers from pre-reading the manual. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's check out what we need and see how we can get this thing going. They reference you right to the website in the app for the instructions, so it doesn't come with paper instructions. So we're gonna be going back to digital here and see what step one is. So we've got most of these boxes open now, and we've kind of torn into them and see what they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 of these are just louvers. So most of these are just gonna be at the end, we're gonna be plugging louvers away. And then our 4, in the biggest, heaviest box here, are the 4 base posts. So if you're looking for those, they're in that box right there. It's not totally clear right away by looking at the part numbers and everything on the side. You have to reference the manual. But now that we can see what's in what box, we're gonna go to the manual. I'll show you what step we're on, and we'll go and we'll do that step. So let's see what step 1 is over here. So the first step is grab the power cable and one of the legs. And then the thing is, the power cable just didn't have a part number on the diagram there. So I assume this is it. This has gotta be it. This is it right here. So we found it in one of the boxes that came with the kit. So with the electronics, so with our heater and the control box and all that stuff, we got this one, and it says power plug on there right there. So that's the one that we were looking for. And we'll grab a leg and route this thing through. That's step number 1. All right, so we've got our base columns right here. So we're looking for the bottom. That must be your side. You see some screw threads on their side?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so that must be the bottom. Let's bring it over here. Let's just put your end down. Okay. And then Liam, can you give me a hand? So we're already using our 3 helpers, basically. So I think we got to thread this through. Power cable needs to end up on that end. Power plug needs to end up on that end. And we should be able to do this on any one of these legs. They're all the same. I think it goes through, let's see, let's reference the manual if it goes through the channelized side. Yeah, it goes through the small side with the cutouts. So, yep. So the bottom small one on your side. Bottom one.
Oh, one below.
Yeah, so the bottom one. So hopefully everyone at home can see this angle right here. Here we go. We got a fourth helper. We are now the forefathers of Pergolux. Let's see, do we need some gravity assistance? Is it coming through?
Not yet. I can hear it. There it is, got it.
All right, let's pull that through.
There you go.
About 4 more feet maybe.
Tell me when.
Yeah, right there is probably good. All right, so we got something done. Let's go, boys. We got something done. All right, guys, so we're gonna be putting the feet on the columns here. So we got our lube. We've got 2 types of screws. These are like T15s here, the tapping screws, and then this bolt that's gonna go in the center there. So you need a 5 mil and you need a T15. And so I'm set up for the outer screws right now. And the way that this thing goes orientation wise, you're gonna get a little lube on your screw, and then your sharp corner, countersunk side out, is gonna go on the top side here. Is that okay for you, Liam? And don't move. And don't tighten them down all the way because you need to get them all in. And you're definitely going to want to use lube because, as one of my buddies here said so eloquently, that if you mess this up, it's not going to be the cheap part that needs replacing. It's going to be the expensive part. So I'm gonna have to go run and grab one more screw, but I'll cut the video before then. I'll just try to get our bolt started. All right, and then we'll go through and tighten them all down so you guys can see how that goes. You do them all the same way. The one with the power cable you're gonna thread out, but I'll show you guys that real quick. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna go, but we'll show you. And we're gonna do that for the rest of the feet. So we were like, how do we do this? This doesn't make any sense. There's a plate on one of these crossbars right here that you have to take all the way off, which reveals a portal to the inside of your, one of your 13-foot short end crossbars. And that is going to allow us to connect our wiring harness and hide it behind there. And then that grounding wire goes underneath the panel like that. You can see this here, buddy, get a shot of that. So James, don't put that on her yet because we're gonna have to route this cable harness through first, I think. Because that has to go all the way back through the other side.
Let's make sure to figure out which direction it goes first because there's a double-sided tape.
Okay, so we've been banging our heads trying to figure out how these things go. We basically figured it out. James, can you give me a hand on the other end of that? So when your cables are routing, there's channels right here that they go through. And then when we go to move the column and beam in place, these can just slip. Help me with the cable there. They just slide together, and you got to straighten them out and then screw them in. So that's how they go. Then lube your screws up, and then we're going to screw these in. We're going to do these two, and then we'll do a long bar and another column, and we'll stand them up, and we'll show you guys how we put the whole thing together.
Does yours have like a low? Is that here? Put it on low. It's probably better.
Yeah.
I think it's slow.
All right, so as you can see, we're standing up the pergola right now. This side is going to be positioned here, and then we've got a long bar and another column set up right there. So now we're gonna stand this up and slot it into here, and we're gonna basically have this thing set up as a tripod, and then we're gonna be able to work from there with it erected and in place. So to get this up, we're gonna have to, James, you're gonna have to stand that side up, and I'll pick this up. And then, Aleem, you got that? Aleem's got everything right now. Mandeep's going up tall. Aleem's got that, and then Mandeep's going up tall. And then I'll move.
And then I'm gonna pick up this corner.
Yep.
Does this need to feed through?
Not right now.
All right, guys, I'm bringing it in.
Yep. Hold that in place, Aleem, the base.
There you go.
We'll have to line the holes up a little bit, but that's a great setup right there.
Yep.
All right, so we got this thing, it's standing up. One piece of advice I would recommend if you do this is screw in the short sides before you screw in the long sides, because I still have to go back and get one manually with a wrench because the louver connectors were blocking my drill. So connect your short sides, then connect your long sides. That might make it life a little bit easier for you. Other than that, this has come together pretty well. Now, before we do anything else to it, we're gonna put it in its final place, because once it's in its final place, then we can make it heavier by putting on the louvers and all the other pieces. We don't want to have to move it again after that. So we'll check in as we're doing louvers and other pieces. I have 5. Can it be? This is off.
That's 6.5, 7.
7. So we got to come an inch this way on this side. Right there. 5. Yep, that's good. All right, so the pergola is up. All 4 columns are up. All 4 beams are up. We have the rain traps sealed and screwed in, and now we're going to do the gutters. So the gutters look like they just pop on. We're going to do that next, and then some more hardware and wiring to take care of, and then it's going to be louvers. And I'll definitely break down the louvers very carefully for you guys, but we're just using clear outdoor sealant, weatherproof for the spots that need sealant, pretty simple. And then when we're done, when the louvers are done, we'll drill into the concrete. We'll go all over drilling in concrete, even though I've never done it before. I feel confident we're going to get through it somehow. Hopefully have this thing going, open and closing, providing some shade by the end of the day, work day today. And it should sit in there. Are you like right on your edge right now?
Yeah.
And then just set it down. So we've got our gutters in, and then they need to be, they sit here kind of, they're very, very loose. So you got to put some sealant on there. Oh, thank you. And then there are these brackets right here, and they're going to go down this part in, like this. And we're just going to screw it in. And be careful because it's metal on plastic, so you don't want to be too rough with it. You don't want to over tighten it and crack it, so you want to get it just enough. And then that's all held together there. And keep an eye on your beads here of sealant. I'm going to try to smooth mine out and make sure that it all has some sealant. It might take some cleanup later or a second application to get it really weatherized. So I'm just checking in from my phone here to kind of show you guys how we put the motor assembly together. You can see we used 3 hex bolts. There was one long one with a hollow center, that another one threaded through on the back, and then the 2 on the sides right here. So 4 total bolts were required for this. And then we're going to put that up here on the 3 bolts that are available to us. We're moving on to the Sky motor arm assembly. So we just connected the motor to the column up there, and in our IPB, in our manual, it said that we need to connect this all together, this piece, 2 pieces, bolts and collars and everything, but it came already attached in ours. So this is already attached. Just want to note that in case you guys get yours and it's not attached, ours came already attached. So we're gonna keep moving through this and I'll show you how it all assembles over there. So you're definitely gonna wanna leave some space and some mobility in your motor arm because you're gonna have to slide this cotter pin bolt through here to attach the motor arm to your motor. And my hands are all covered up in ditty grease, so not ideal. The big hole on this connects to here, right? And that's why we need this spacer. That makes sense now. M6, right? All right, so check out the motor assembly as it is set up. You've got your motor here on your bracket, comes down to here. This attaches here with the cotter pin, goes up to here. Your L bracket connects here and here and goes on the outside. And then this runs through a spacer. In here, you can see in here that spacer fits in there. And then this has just the slightest tolerance. And then this must telescope in and out to move your louvers. So that's how this goes. A little tricky, but we figured it out. We made a huge mistake in the beginning, which was routing our cable assembly both directions down that short horizontal beam. We're baking out here in the sun, by the way. All the cables have to come out of the one side of that port over there. So they basically come out both sides of the control box there, and they come out through that hole, and they're both gonna end up going down. Two of them are gonna end up going down the motor side, and then one's for mains power. Don't route the cables in both directions. That was a huge mistake. It almost cost us our whole day's work, but luckily we found a workaround and we could snake the cable out. So just so you know, that's where we're at. We just plugged in our motor. We just plugged in our LED louver power lights, cable harness that goes in there. So we're on to louvers now. We're gonna start setting up louvers and we'll talk about that. You can kind of see here, the cable's routed back in the back of this channel up by the louvers. And then where there's an LED, the cable just pops out right there. And I try to get it into those little slots, but it really doesn't go because there's these plastic clips that you install on each one of these, and it makes it really difficult. So we've got one bent louver from shipping. We'll see if that affects put togetheriness. We're on our way with the louvers. It was a little tricky at first, but where your control box is, you're gonna start with a regular one. And then if you see this little hole right here, this is where your motor arm is gonna go. This is gonna go on the same side as your motor and facing up. And then it goes regular, LED, 3 regulars LED, 3 regulars LED, all the way until the end, then a regular one and a special one. You can see that in the manual, and you can watch here as we put it in. Watch us put it in the hole. You know, they say you can do this with 2 people. I don't know how you can do this with less than 5 people. Pretty brutal. So watch how we do this one. We've got 2 people on the ground handing us these. Otherwise, we'd be working our way up the ladder. So now on my assistant's side, he's gonna put it in straight, and then I'm gonna drop it in. Make sure your cable harness is out of your way. And then I drop mine in, and then it's set. And for now, that's how it goes. Follow this pattern all the way until the end, and then we're gonna hook up our wires and everything. Here is your louver motor arm. You can kind of see it's connected, and you can see how that bolt goes on. It goes bolt, washer, spacers, rubber washer, and then nut on the other side. And you do that all the way along the whole length of it. So when you go to install your motor arm to the louver arm, you want it all the way in the closed position because these louvers sit closed. So when they're closed, this is in the closed position, your motor comes in the closed position. So you just fit it to fit on there, and your bolt goes on the countersunk side here, and then your nuts on the outboard side. Here's the end of it here. This panel right here, and this panel is the one where they only gave me too few screws to get that up there, so I'm having to, you know, get my own screws to replace these. I got Phillips head ones. These are the T20s that I'm going to be installing right now. All right, so I'm just going to be doing a voiceover here. When it comes to drilling into the concrete, I got this drill from Home Depot off the recommendation of a buddy. It's a hammer drill, which is made specifically for drilling into concrete. And when I bought the bolts, they had a set of instructions on the back on how deep to drill the hole. And then basically once the hole is drilled, which was so easy, this thing chewed through that concrete like it was nothing. You see it in real time right here. I had my shop vac out there because one of the things they tell you is you have to make sure you get all the dust out of the hole, because you do have to, with a mallet, you have to hit the bolt in to get it all the way deep. And then the nut on top spreads it at the bottom. This is a weird thing to describe. Spreads it at the bottom, and then that secures it into the ground. So that is not coming out at all. So use my shop vac. These holes, I cannot overstate how easy it was with this tool. And just for fun, I tried it with my regular drill with the same type of special bit that's for drilling into concrete, masonry bit, I think. A different story. It was impossible, but this drill made it so easy. It was unbelievable. So you can see me hammering the bolt in here. The one thing I would say is make sure you go straight down, because I had a couple that I went at an angle. It was not as pretty. So be very careful that you're very vertical up and down with the hole that you drill, because that's going to make it much, much easier for that bolt to go in, and it's going to sit flush. So a couple cranks on this thing. I think it had like a 14 foot-pound torque or something like that, but I went with the old Guten Tight, and it was, I'm telling you, it was easy. You can do this. Okay, I've got no idea if I've done this correctly or not, but I'm about to plug it into power for the first time. So let's see what happens. Oh! Oh, look at this! So right now it's opening. Camera's gonna be a little bright, sorry about that. All right, and then let's try to shut it. I'm basically done. It's connected to my phone. It's working. The lights are working. I'm dying. It's like 105 degrees, and I've been out here for, let's see, 9 hours, and a little sunburn. You can see it on my nose right here. I'm about to go have a beer and a cold shower. And when I have cooled down a little bit up here and here, I'm going to come back out and give you guys the goods and bads and ups and downs of putting this thing together. But luckily for you, that's going to be like... It's been a few days, and I've had time to cool off. You know, I was pretty frustrated at the end of that project. We had a lot of issues with the documentation, everything like that. We're going to talk about that in a second. But now I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this whole pergola and how I feel about it now that it's installed. You can see it behind me right there. So actually, you know, it says a lot that I took time to write down my thoughts on this. There was a lot to think about. Let's start by going over kind of the negatives. The first and most serious and kind of unforgivable negative of this whole project is the fact that the documentation was so poor. All the documentation and the videos are for the Pergolux S2 series, which is the older series. Now they're on the S3, and I had completely different parts than were in the manual. You know, it was very frustrating trying to interpret. And when I reached out to them and emailed them, they sent me back some references that were still S2. So Pergolux, you have to get your illustrations, your manuals, your online videos with your most current model of pergola, especially for the price. So let's talk about the price. This pergola listed the 13 by 19, I think it's like $23,000 in the website, but it frequently goes on sale down to $19,000 or $17,000. We paid the $17,000 for it. We paid full price, and that included the free heater. More on the heater in a second. But when you do your pergola purchase, there's an option for clicking for a free quote for installation. Installation was quoted to me $3,000, which would have made this a $20,000 project. And that's like 20% of the entire cost of the thing. So you probably are going to want to do this yourself. It's really not that hard. Their own website says it's like putting Legos together for adults. But that leads me back to the bad documentation, which had me so frustrated. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Got to get it more suitable for somebody to put together themselves. $3,000 for, if I had to do this again, I think it would probably taken like 2 or 3 hours instead of 9. And $3,000 is a huge ripoff for getting this thing installed. So that's a little bit crazy. A couple other negatives. I had to buy my own screws to finish the project because we were missing screws, so that should be fixed. We had one louver that was damaged, but they've already offered to replace that, so I appreciate that. The heater, let's talk about the heater. I haven't even installed it yet. On all the other Pergola models, there are brackets that go up onto the frame that you install the heater on. On the S3 Skydance model, they want you to drill into the gutter. So they actually want you to drill in a place of your deciding, there's not really any guidance, into the gutter and put the heater up there. And because of the way the cables are routed, because it has one of those weatherized screw-on connectors like the LEDs, there's only a couple places you can put it. So I wanted it away from my grill. I'm gonna end up having to put it right over my grill, unfortunately. Don't like that. Then there were a couple of other things in the manual too, like the motor, where to put the motor. Didn't know how to set that up. It was all bad documentation. Documentation. Pergolux, you have to fix that. The documentation was really bad. But let me put down my pen. Let's get to the good stuff. Look at that thing. I mean, it is fantastic. It looks great when it's closed. It looks great when it's open. Those lights are on like 30% right now. If I kick those up to 100%, it lights up basically my entire backyard for me, no problem. And it is well put together, like 8-inch thick aluminum legs. It looks beautiful. Our landscaper was here today telling me that some of the cost of motorized louvered pergolas when they're custom can be $60 a square foot just for the louvers, meaning that people getting custom are paying what I paid for this entire thing just for the louvers on their project, making their project maybe 3 times the cost of this. So for the money, it can't be beat. And now that it's up here, I've had a few people over, everyone blown away by it. Like, it is really as good as anything else that I've seen out there, whether it's pre-built or custom. Like the prominence of this thing, it's just impressive. The louvers are thick, they're strong, they look like they're gonna last forever. The lights look beautiful, everything about it. It's like a bad ex-girlfriend. Like, you remember all the problems, but then you see it and you're like, it's all good. You know, you kind of forget about all the trouble. Overall, how do I feel about it? I would say right now, I am kind of loving it. Like, despite there being issues, I love looking at it. It provides fantastic shade. I like opening it. I like turning the lights on, everything. I'm really happy with it. Oh, and the day after, we installed this on a Sunday. On that Monday, we had a freak thunderstorm the next day, like the very next day. Freak thunderstorm. I'm glad I bolted that thing into the ground. And I can tell you, it stayed completely dry under there. Not a drop of water underneath the pergola. It wasn't the worst rain I've ever seen in my life, but the gutters and the weatherproof system seemed to work flawlessly. So I can attest, luckily we had this thunderstorm out of nowhere, and I can attest the weatherization, the waterproofing seems to hold up. So I'm excited about seeing this thing in the future. Overall, installation process, since you're probably only doing this one time, it's not gonna be that fun. They gotta fix the documentation to make it better. But if I had to do it again, let's say, knowing what I know now, it would be a piece of cake. It would be so easy. Putting it together truly was extremely simple. That's the S3 Skydance series. I can only talk about that one. It's the only one I've ever worked on. Extremely easy, not bad at all to put together, but I would say you need at least 3, maybe even at least 4 people to do it. So you definitely need some help. Pergolux, I hope you watch this video and take some of the things I said seriously. If you're shopping for a Pergolux, I hope this video helped you. Let me know in the comments down below what your experience with Pergolux is, if you think I got some stuff right or wrong, and I hope that this video informs you on your decision. Like, comment, subscribe, all the typical things, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. That's it for now.